Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Today, I have a new story to share with you that is quite unexpected. My name is Brandon, and if there's one thing life has shown me, it's that change can happen in an instant. Just 3 years ago, I felt like I had everything figured out: marriage, career, stability. But now, everything that once seemed solid is really a memory. It's surreal to think about the twist life can bring, like unexpectedly running into my ex wife again, seeing her in tears. In that moment, I was left unsure of my emotions. Should I be proud of my progress or devastated by what I've lost? To truly understand this encounter, let's go back to where it all began, as the full story is key to making sense of it all. Catherine and I first crossed paths at the gym where she worked at the front desk. Despite her always being polite, we didn't engage much until one day everything changed. Unfortunately, I can't recall the exact circumstances of that pivotal moment. The conversation sparked something between us, and it seemed to flow effortlessly. There was an undeniable connection. Soon, I found myself eagerly anticipating our interactions, hoping she'd be there whenever I entered the room. Our rapport quickly evolved into something deeper as we began dating. Over the course of a year and a few months, I felt like I had a comprehensive understanding of who she was. We enjoyed spending weekends together, embarking on long drives and preparing meals in tandem. It became clear to me that I had discovered a person with whom I could envision a future. Proposing to her felt like the natural next step, and she accepted. Our marriage followed, and during that time, everything seemed to align perfectly. I was employed as a back-end engineer at Airden, enjoying both a stable job and a generous salary that provided us with a comfortable life. Catherine, on the other hand, was working at the gym, though I knew she possessed untapped potential. I believed in her ability to excel in various endeavors if she chose to do so, and I suggested that she explore freelancing. I offered to assist her in acquiring the necessary skills, confident that we had the financial buffer to support this transition. I wanted her to pursue something that would truly fulfill her. Initially, we were filled with enjoyment and hope as we embarked on a new chapter together, discussing future plans such as the possibility of starting a family. However, everything took a drastic turn with the onset of the pandemic. The global shutdown impacted various industries, including Airden, leading to my unfortunate layoff. Amidst the uncertainty, I tried to stay optimistic by dedicating my time to neglected side projects in the hopes of finding a sustainable solution. Nevertheless, the financial strain became apparent, prompting a difficult conversation with Catherine about the need to tighten our expenses. I anticipated her understanding but was met with unexpected resistance. Our relationship suffered a significant shift, with warmth replaced by tension and communication breakdown. Small disagreements morphed into intense conflicts, creating an atmosphere of constant strain. Her behavior towards me changed drastically, leaving me feeling disheartened and unappreciated. She constantly criticized me, accusing me of being lazy and not putting in enough effort. Despite my best attempts, it felt like nothing I did was ever satisfactory for her. The woman I once knew had transformed before my eyes. Her stress had turned into resentment towards me, and my efforts to mend our relationship only seemed to make things worse. When she expressed a desire to visit her parents, I hoped that some time apart would help us both. However, her departure marked the beginning of a prolonged period of silence. My messages were met with minimal responses. Phone calls went unanswered or were abruptly ended, and her demeanor grew increasingly distant and chilly. As weeks turned into months, I mustered the courage to inquire when she planned to return. Her response shattered me. She declared that she only intended to retrieve her belongings as she had chosen to end our marriage. I was caught off guard by the sudden and matter-of-fact manner in which she dropped the bombshell of divorce. She showed no interest in discussing the situation or dividing assets. All she wanted was a quick cash settlement to expedite the process and avoid a legal battle. Utterly drained, I found myself unable to muster the energy to argue or contest her decision. We came to an agreement on an amount, and that was the end of it. When she arrived to collect her belongings, there was no interaction from her. No words exchanged, no eye contact made. She simply gathered her things and left. Left alone in our once shared apartment, I felt completely shattered. What ensued was a dark period in my life, where I felt like I had lost myself. There were days where I didn't even have the will to continue. I even contemplated ending it all multiple times. The only thing that stopped me was the unwavering support of a few close friends who refused to let me go. They were there for me, providing me with sustenance, company, and carrying me through the days when I couldn't stand on my own. This experience shattered me, but it also forced me to confront a painful truth. She was gone. If I wanted to survive, I had to start afresh. And so I did just that. Immersing myself in my work became my coping mechanism. Coding became my therapy. I dedicated myself to my work, starting from scratch. I would wake up each day and pour myself into reading, building, testing, failing, and then starting over again. I wasn't sure where this would lead me, but I was resolute that if life had knocked me down, I would. I couldn't stay in the same place. Every day, I would push through the pain with determination. I often found myself alone, contemplating the gap between where I was and where I wanted to be. Financially, I was just getting by, far from making a six-figure income. But I persisted. It wasn't merely about achieving success. It became a necessity. I needed to prove to myself that I had not reached my peak, despite my failed marriage. For 2 years, I quietly hustled, making slow progress. Then unexpectedly, one of the features I had developed as part of an AI tool started gaining attention. Initially, small businesses showed interest, but soon larger companies were contacting me. Word spread rapidly, and my inbox was flooded with inquiries from companies I had once only dreamed of working with. Initially, I thought it might be a stroke of luck, but the interest continued to pour in. That's when it dawned on me that I had created something truly valuable. And then came the email that changed everything: a major tech company. Anyone I had looked up to since my time at Airland showed interest in acquiring my startup. I found myself staring at their email, reading it repeatedly for what felt like hours. After calling my team, we gathered to discuss the offer. When we eventually saw the financial details, we were left in shock. It wasn't just a significant amount of money, it was the type of sum that could impact future generations. Unanimously, we decided to accept the proposal. However, the offer included more than just monetary value. They also extended a long-term partnership role to me. This meant that I wasn't simply cashing out and moving on. I was becoming a part of a company I had always admired. I distinctly remember that night in my apartment after the deal was finalized. There were no grand celebrations, no cheers or toasts, just me alone, processing the weight of everything I had been through and realizing that I had reached a significant milestone. It had been years since Catherine had departed. I had lost touch with her completely. Then, one day, while getting coffee, I unexpectedly bumped into Tom, an old friend. Our conversation mostly revolved around my recent achievements. I told him I moved on, focused on work. He nodded and said something that stopped me cold. Crazy how that guy left her after the construction job wrapped up. Guess she's single again. I asked what he meant. What guy? What construction job? Tom looked surprised. He thought I already knew, but I didn't. He explained that during the lockdown, Catherine had been living with someone else, some engineer she had apparently been seeing while we were still married. Tom had seen them together a lot. Turns out she never went to her parents like she told me. I had ignored everyone after the divorce, including Tom's calls, so I never got the heads up. That moment shattered something in me. I always held on to the idea that maybe our marriage just didn't survive the pressure, but knowing she had been living a double life during it, that cut deep. Still, I didn't let it pull me back into that dark place. I had come too far. A few months later, after the company that acquired us invited me to speak at their annual corporate gala, an upscale black tie event. Since I was now a partner, I was given the stage. I dressed to the nines that night. As I looked in the mirror, I saw someone I hadn't recognized in a long time. Someone strong, someone proud. The venue was stunning, all polished marble and soft jazz. When they called me up, I walked on stage feeling calm and ready. But then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw her, Catherine. She was sitting at one of the tables in a beautiful emerald gown. She looked just like I remembered, elegant, composed. I found out later she had come as someone's plus one. But in that moment, seeing her, everything inside me shifted. I had a polished speech prepared, but I didn't use it. Instead, I spoke from the heart. I talked about patience, how sometimes we have to lose everything before we find what we truly need. I talked about pain and how it can shape us if we let it. To the room full of execs and partners, it sounded like I knew. As they listened to discussions on corporate growth strategies, their expressions were a facade of interest. However, every word spoken was meant for her. After finishing my speech and descending from the stage, I caught a glimpse of her wiping away tears. It was unclear to me which part had impacted her the most, but her silent understanding was evident. Despite networking and exchanging pleasantries thereafter, her eyes remained fixed on me, signaling an unspoken desire to converse. However, that opportunity never presented itself amidst the hustle and bustle of the event. Approximately a week later, a message from an unfamiliar number appeared on my phone. Can we meet? I'd really like to talk. I didn't need a name to recognize the sender. Contemplating for a while, I left the message unread and ultimately chose to block the number. I had moved on from that period of my life. It had been 3 years since her departure, and whatever she wanted to convey no longer held significance. The past chapter had been closed, replaced by a new narrative that I had penned for myself. Reflecting on the experience now, I realized the valuable lessons I've gained about human nature, life, and my own resilience. I understand the strength that comes with patience, especially during challenging times when everything seems to be falling apart. Finding myself whole once more, I resisted the urge to rush decisions born of fear that could have led to ruin. Rebuilding my life demanded patience. Nights were sleepless and there were days of emotional numbness, but I concentrated on what was within my power to change. Gradually, the puzzle pieces fell into their rightful spots, not hastily, but with a steady progression. There were moments when I was on the brink of giving up, nearly quitting on myself. If I had surrendered, there would be no AI project, no team, no partnership, no inspiring speech. None of it. This is why I implore anyone facing their own struggles. Please do not relinquish hope. The future holds countless possibilities if you can endure just a bit longer. Moreover, pain should not be allowed to stagnate within you. It can be harnessed to propel you forward, molding you into a more resilient individual. My journey was not fueled by a desire for vengeance or to prove myself to others. I simply refused to let my suffering be in vain. I utilized it as motivation, leading me to where I stand now. So I pose this question to you. If you found yourself in my shoes, what choices would you have made? Would you have cut off contact? Would you have communicated? Would you have given a second chance? I welcome your opinions and insights on this matter. It's in the comments. I want to know this isn't just my story. A lot of people go through this kind of thing in different ways. If this story hit home for you, made you think, or helped you feel seen, give it a like and share it. It helps more than you know. Thanks for listening. Take care of yourself.